first of all, I'll introduce our team. Okay, so start off here, the actual team for Ocean Globe and Golden Globe. David's our commercial director, David Cosworth. Do you want to say 30 seconds?
Yeah, I've been involved in ocean racing since 2002, inspired by Sir Robin. Sailed around the world, worked for Sir Robin for 15 years, and then obviously the Golden Globe is the Golden Globe now, 2018, 2022, is following in Robin's wake, if you like, and so it's very natural for me to be inspired and to come and work with Don, who's carrying on this amazing work.
So he's the money man for me. He's going to go and find the sponsors. Okay. Sebastian's our joint media director for both events.
I've been working in communications for 20 years now. I came here for the sailing of the boats, but at the end of the day, what is really endearing is the people and the human stories. So I look forward to telling a lot of new stories.
Bravo!
And Ada's going to be introduced officially in a month or so with Ocean. With the Ocean Globe race. Ada's been a great supporter of the Golden Globe race in the South Alone. You can say who you are, but she's been fantastic for Golden Globe, and she will officially sign on within the official team of Ocean Globe in the next couple of months, so she's helping here now.
For the moment, my English is not so good, but it will be better since 22-33. If you have question in French, I can answer.
But yeah, Ada will be PR, media events, media commentary, and so on. So, and of course, there's Jane, my wife, who's currently in China. Jane, Jay, and I, we're McIntyre Adventure, and we are underwriting both events. So that's really about it. So I'm going to give you a very quick PowerPoint presentation now, just to get you up to speed again on what both events are about. Okay. And how they evolved and what was the inspiration. So basically it started, we all know Robert Knox Johnson and the first edition of the Golden Globe race. We recreated it in 2018, which you all know about, so that's pretty simple. But why did that event evolve? It's all about inspiration and human stories. When I was a kid, I learned about Goebel and McIntyre in Australia, who did the first flight around Australia in 1924. And I thought, that's pretty cool. So I recreated the flight in an ultralight gyrocopter and flew solo around Australia. It was a world first flight, purely because of that inspiration. This guy's a guy by the name of Douglas Mawson, very famous Australian Antarctic explorer. He didn't live very far from me when I was a kid, and I was blown away. So in 1995, I went down to Antarctica, sailed down, built this box beside his hut. It's the windiest spot in Antarctica, lived a year of total isolation, purely because of the inspiration. Then, oops, I double clicked there. This guy, we all know Jacques Cousteau. When I was a 10-year-old, I used to go around the lounge room scuba diving, and he would just blew me away and always stuck in the back of my mind. So in 2000, I ended up buying a 36-metre ship with a helicopter, exactly the same helicopter as Jacques Cousteau, 5-man recompression chamber, all the dive gear, and we did 4 years of amazing expeditions all over the world. It was incredible. But the sailing side also started from Chichester. I was a very little kid. He stopped in Sydney, and I remember seeing some of the stories about that. And of course, that's what led to the Golden Globe race. Single-handed non-stop circumnavigation never been done. So that's when the guys started, and 9 started, and only 1 finished that original race. The very first solo around the world race after that was the BOC Challenge, and I was the Aries wind vane agent at that time in 1982. So in Sydney, the BOC comes through, and I meet all the guys. I meet Philippe Jonteau and Bertie Reed and Guy Bernardin, and thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I kind of like what I'm seeing here. So in 1990, I ended up doing the BOC Challenge. Okay, came second in my class because I was inspired by those guys, right? So then it rolls through to Jessica Watson. In 2008, a 15-year-old girl approached me saying she was desperate to do a solo circumnavigation. So I bought her a boat, found her a manager, did a press conference. She set off and she sailed solo non-stop round the world. And between you and me, it really annoyed me because I thought, I want to do this again. She inspired me, get that? So I wanted to do it again. I couldn't do the Bondi Globe, I wasn't interested, didn't have enough money, wasn't my style, I was getting old and fat and stuff. So I thought, right, we'll do it with these sorts of boats. And that's what happened. We set up the concept of 32 to 36 foot yachts heavy displacement, full keel, all that sort of thing. And I thought if I'm going, we'll have a race, it'll be retro, sextants, towing logs, wind vanes, radios, no iPhones, you know, nothing like that. And so that's what you got. And of course, we were very lucky, thanks to the support of Jean-Luc, and I'll introduce you to entrance shortly, to end up in Le Sable d'Olonne, the centre of the universe for solo sailing, Vendée Globe, and absolutely passionate people who trusted us. They put a lot of trust in us, and we had an amazing sort of race village, about 110,000 people turning up. These were the 18 crazy sailors that actually did the race. It was just an amazing feeling, but the world had never seen anything like it. And reality was about to hit home. We've got 18 boats heading south, and yeah, wow, it really started with a bang when the first guy retired in a week, okay, because he was missing his family. The second guy retired in Lanzarote because of navigation issues, and he was missing the mountains. The next one, the third one to retire because he was unhappy with the way he'd prepared his boat. He wasn't so happy with it. The fourth one was actually Nabil, this boat here. His wind vane, he chose the wrong wind vane. It was too small for the boat, catastrophic failure, couldn't carry on. Then we had another boat, Francesco, similar story, wind vane failed, same wind vane. And amazingly, Philippe Peche, who's a serious sailor, some of you know of him, Jules Verne Trophy, really nice guy. His wind vane also completely failed, so you can't sail around the world solo. We lost our first mast underneath Cape Town, R.A. Wig. So simple, 35 knots, 3 to 4 metre seas, and he gets rolled over because he was hove to trying to fix his wind vane. There are all these incredible stories coming out, and no one really knew what was going to happen. Southern Ocean, the first big storm, really nasty one, where the wind went from about 65 knots from the northeast to about 75 knots from the southwest in less than an hour. Okay, so think of that. And the first one hit was Gregor. He lost his mizzen mast in a knockdown. He then lost his main mast in a rollover. He set a jury rig, and he could have actually sailed home with that, but we had another boat in serious trouble, which was Tommy, Avalanche Tommy on his Suhaili replica. He was dismasted, rolled and injured below, couldn't move. It was a serious situation. Amazing international rescue from about as far as you could be from anywhere, and we got him back. Mark Slats was the third boat in the storm. He didn't know whether he was going to survive. He was extremely scared and worried, but he had one wave come through, it blew out the storm boards, flooded the boat, but he managed to keep it afloat and got home. Jean-Luc, of course, the grand old man of the sea, he was doing really well, a couple of thousand miles ahead. One bad knockdown damaged the mast, and he carried on. And this was going around Cape Horn, but that 2,000 mile lead was being opened up or closed down, and we ended up with 5 finishes. I don't need to tell you the story, I think you all know. So 5 out of 18 wasn't bad compared to the first edition, and it was a hell of a race. So what worked? I mean, it was incredible. First of all, it was a realistic dream for the sailors. It was very affordable. The retro rules attracted a lot of interest. They were simple production boats. I mean, Uku bought his boat, did the race and sold the boat again for basically about what he paid for it. So you don't have to have millions to do the race. Fun factor was high. It was human for the entrants as well as the followers. You know, it was really unique social media reporting which went nuts. So the story basically sold itself. We had a good team of people. The French maritime authorities, after assessing our notice of race for 4 different meetings and the whole lot, opened one meeting, and they said that our notice of race and safety management was the best they'd ever seen for any event in France, any sailing event in France. So we're off to a good start. And our old man and dreamer category of all our old blokes in the race, one of the best won the race. 212 days, Jean-Luc Van der Heat, 6th solo circumnavigation in the race, and he finally won one. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, well done, Jean-Luc. So why so successful? It was passionate entrants, dreamers, true hero stories, pure and honest adventure. It was nothing complicated. It was a great race and sailing into the unknown, which was very special in this day and age. So we had an enthusiastic logistic partner in Le Sable d'Olonne, which was absolutely incredible. It just pushed everything through the roof, mainly because we didn't have a sponsor. We had a very small team managing the race. We didn't have 120 employees and $120 million. It was the opposite end of the scale. And our media analysis, which we've got copies for you to show you, were really quite stunning statistics. The total spend of our management for PR, for media in the race was $210,000 US. Okay, that's all we spent. And the media sell, in other words, when we were approaching sponsors in 2016 to back the race, all our documents said we estimated we would get $210 million US of media exposure, assuming they gave us some money. We never got the money, but the reality was at the end we ended up with Meltwater doing an assessment. It was $185 million of equivalent advertising value for the GGR. So we turned 210,000 with extra support from the Saab alone into 185 million, right? And that's because the race basically sold itself. We achieved 88% of our goal, okay, with very small budgets. The Saab alone, in the same independent report, received internationally on their brand, Le Saab alone, $18 million US value as well. So they're extremely happy. They've signed on again for the next couple of editions, and we're very happy as well because they're great friends and supporters. So our sponsor asked, we didn't get it. Our total cash sponsorship for the GGR, except for the support from the Saab alone, was €35,000, okay? And in 2022, David just guaranteed me, David has absolutely promised me he's going to raise a couple of million euro, right? So, but still, you compared to that, you could sponsor the GGR, or you could go and buy 3 sets of foils for an Amoka. Take your pick, So, 2022 looking really good. We've actually, this was the entrance list in November. We've now got 26 entries, okay, in the race. It's up again, and things look good. We call it now, it's the longest, loneliest, slowest, most daring challenge for any individual in any sport. That's really what the 22 GGR is all about. So what's this ocean globe race situation? Well, the growing appeal of retro racing, human stories and so on is really quite unique. And so most of you will know that the 1973 Whitbread race has its 50th anniversary in 2023. So we're recreating the whole deal again, okay? Basically around the world racing for average ordinary sailors stopped 30 years ago. It went fully professional with Volvo, which is all very exciting, we love it, but the sailors got left behind. So why am I doing it? I used to follow every Whitbread race. I used to really get off on the late St. Peter Blake and Connie van Richthoven. I used to get all the magazines. I bought every video, and of course Flyer, it was just epic stuff. Big inspiration. So in 1988, I organised and managed and ran a very big yacht race around Australia called the Round Australia Yacht Race, or Bicentennial Round Australia Yacht Race. Peter Blake entered in this boat, was Steinlager 1, it was a trimaran. He obviously won the race, and we became very good friends. He taught me a lot, a hell of a lot. His favourite saying was, the bullshit pays the bills. But anyway, I wanted to do a Whitbread. I was an ordinary sailor, okay? He helped me to do that. We tried twice, we got close once. And so I never got to do my Whitbread. So, and I'm not sailing in this one, but that's another story. So it's all retro. The first 3 classes are retro, so it's sextant, no satellites, no computers. The course is following the clipper ship routes, the same deal, 4 legs that will come around South Africa, Australasia, somewhere in South America, and then back to Europe again. And the boats are pretty interesting because the adventure class, named after Adventure, the Royal Navy entry in the 73 race, is for yachts between 46 feet and 55 feet. Okay, production fiberglass yachts like Norta Swan, like Nicholson 55, and so on. Then the next, and so Tapio Leatherton, who was in the GGR in 18, who's also entered 22, just bought this Nicholson 55, and he's doing the OGR because he did the Whitbread previously. The Sayula class is named after Sayula, the winner of the first Whitbread, a Swan 65, and here we've got Dominic Dubois, the owner of Multiplast, the builders of all the Ultims and Amokas and so on. He's entering in a Swan 651. He's going to have a chef on board, he's going to have a wine cellar and a freezer full of food, and he's going to have a lot of fun. So then the Flyer class is for any boats which competed in the first 3 Whitbread race, such as Saramco. Tracy Edwards is actually already entered in Maiden, and here we go, Tracy's entered. She's really excited about this. When her current tour is finished, that's her next project. And so where are we at the moment? The adventure class, remembering we only announced this 6 months ago, we've already got 10 entries in adventure class. It's full. There's now a wait list for adventure class. Sayula class had 6 entries, but as of yesterday, I think we've got 7, so there's probably only 1 space left to enter the race in Sayula class. The flyer class has 8 entries. We've got 4 already, including Tracy, okay, and including we've got one of our other entries here I'll introduce in a minute. So all up in 6 months, we've got 20 entries in these 3 retro classes, which is unbelievable. It's going to be the biggest fully crewed yacht race the world has seen, and certainly as of today, the biggest in the last 30 years. But what's so different about it? First of all, OGR is glory in the face of human endeavour. These are real key catchphrases. It's adventure, not just a business. I'm not in this to run it as a business because what I want to do, I've now got to make it a business because the GGR cost Jane and I a lot of money. It's passion with real heart and soul. It's not fake. It's an honourable challenge for all sailors, and there's more entrants, more characters, more heroes and more inspiration, I can guarantee you, than any other race. You think about this with all the boats racing around. One of the problems we had a whole bunch of sailors complaining they couldn't enter. We had maxi owners and Whitbread 60 owners, they can't be coming. I told them all to bugger off. But in the end I folded. The lobbying got so great, we announced about a month or so ago a new challenge because of these sailors that missed out. It's called the Classic Challenge, right? It's open to Whitbread maxis from between 1985 to 97, and it's also open to Whitbread 60s and Volvo 60s. That's it, all right? So with that Classic Challenge, it's celebrating the entire gambit of what was the old Whitbread. So they'll be racing a different course because they're so much faster, and they'll be racing for a different trophy called the Big Red Trophy in honour of the late Sir Peter Blake and Steinlager. And so the other thing that's different about the Classic Challenge is it's not retro. They can use GPS, they can use their instruments, they've got unlimited sponsor signage, they can have all the usual branding they want, but they cannot have weather routing, and they can do live satellite feeds with all the things we're all used to, but they can't use the satellite communication to talk with friends and supporters and so on. It's only media and race control. So we're going to have a maximum of 8 entries, okay? And this shows you, when we get the first 4 entries, we will work with them and come up with a course that's this coloured sections, but they'll do the same starts, the same finishes, but they'll sail a longer course so they don't sit in port for a long time, and it increases their challenge. So they're so much faster. So we've yet to see, so who's going to line up? Entries opened on January the 1st, and I'll get down to that. To give you an idea, a lot of those boats now don't get big value because they've got nothing to do. They can't race, there's no race that fit them. Charles Jourdain, this boat here, is in perfect condition, it's unbelievable. And it's only €160,000, and it can enter the Classic Challenge. So if you want to enter, better get in quick, okay? These are the sorts of boats. If you really want to go for Rothmans, this €190,000 and it's in very good condition. Okay, you could race this maxi in the Classic Challenge. Now Tokyo, she was up for sale for €100,000 until we launched this, and he immediately took it off the market. Okay, so as of today, and entries only open on January the 1st, we already have 4 entrants in the 4 spots reserved in the Classic Challenge, 2 Whitbread 60s and 2 Volvo 60s. And when these owners make their announcements, I think there'll be a few people that are very surprised because these boats have got some interesting programs. And this is just in the first couple of weeks, so it's looking good. So why would sponsors be excited, and why would you as the media be excited about the Ocean Globe race? Well, everyone's excited because it's completely different. It's not just a race, it's all about the stories. It's a race built entirely on human values, not just technology with pilots. Right? So the stories are thick and fast. It's full of modern day heroes. There's some great backstories, and we've got one entrant here who'll talk about that in a minute, with the smallest boat in the fleet. It's inspirational as well as aspirational. It's not elite, okay? Normal people relate to it. It's real, it's genuine, it's different, completely different. It's retro, and we, when I say we, the Ocean Globe and the Golden Globe own that space at the moment. We're the only ones doing it. We're in a class of our own, and that's powerful in many ways. Obviously, it's also very sustainable because we're recycling boats, right? We don't have to go and build new carbon fibre stuff. So that's pretty cool. Bang for buck is extraordinary for the media as well as sponsors, because the angles are so rich with so many different things. What happened in the Golden Globe, we'd tell some journalists about it and they go, whoa, you're kidding me. And you could send it in so many ways and it sold itself so well. So we're more than just a race, it's all about the stories, and that's about it. That's the main parts I want to show you. So certainly you can ask questions in a minute, but I want to just introduce you to some of the entrants that we've got here now. I'll keep Jean-Luc to the end, I think. So Glenn, do you want to come and Glenn's an OGR participant and would like to explain and shout out so you can all hear what he's doing and what he's up to.
Yeah, thanks Don, and hello everybody. So I have the absolute privilege and delight of looking after and being principal skipper for a yacht called Taiping. Taiping was the first ever hull made in the UK as one of 8 boats that Sir Robin Knox-Johnson ordered to allow normal people, amateur sailors, to participate in a round the world yacht race. We've had Taiping since 2017, and it is our delight to be working with Don and OGR to send Taiping back around the world again, once again, open to all to participate in a round the world yacht race. And of course this time, Taiping is going to have the privilege of circumnavigating the globe for the 5th time by the 3 Capes, courtesy of the Ocean Globe Race. So we'll be engaging in a great campaign that literally launched at 8 p.m. last night, and that campaign will include an entire story around the boat, her history, what she's been doing, the work that she does for charitable causes in her home base in Scotland, and the kind of activities that she does, the kind of engagement that she's going to be drawing, and of course working in the full spirit of both OGR and GGR. So we're delighted.
Cool. Thanks, Ben. I should mention in the flyer class of the OGR, there is also opportunities for sailing school boats, ocean capable up to 67 feet. So that's where Glenn comes in. Anders, you want to talk? This is one of the coolest entries in the OGR. So, but I'll let him explain.
Yeah, we will attend with Queen Anne. It's a Baltic 46 from a Finnish yard. And our concept is to invite people with a turbulent past and use the boat as a platform and this fantastic race as a motivation to get back in track in life and win the race.
Yeah.
And it's also very cool because the boat is 50 years. And it's building number 1 from Baltic. Also delivered in 73, 74. So it's like a 50 years anniversary for this boat and also for the yard itself. So it's actually 3 50 years anniversaries we are celebrating.
Yeah.
And we are also the smallest boat in the fleet.
Yeah. In fact, it was too small. It was 3 inches too small. But what's 3 inches between friends? So we gave him a special dispensation. So and it is really a great program. So watch that one. Yeah. Okay. Who else we got? Where's Simon? Where's Simon? Oh, Simon, GGR entry. Come on in, Simon. Do your stuff. Tell them all about you.
Well, I'm following the example of Jean-Luc and joining up sailing the GGR in 2022. I have a Biscay 36 that I've acquired and started preparing. Got two and a half years to go. This time last year, there were 3.5 years to go. Time passes very quickly. It's going to be a real challenge to get to the start, but really looking forward to it. The GGR is absolutely magical for me. I'd always dreamed of doing a round the world race. And as Don was saying, we moved on to Vendées and the technology and the budgets that were required to do that was never going to make it possible. So GGR makes all of that possible to go and have a bash at doing that tour, which has been the dream since as a child. I followed the heroes doing it back then, Sir Robin and Francis Chichester. So that's my plan, and 2.5 years to go and counting.
Cool. Thanks, mate. We had 4 other entrants for GGR here yesterday, but they've all had to scatter, unfortunately. So I think that's it for Jean-Luc. Would you like to announce that you're sailing in the GGR 22 today?
No, I do not sell GGR or OGR. It is not in my plan. My plan is to be retired. So what I like in the GGR, it is first it's a race who costs nothing compared to the Vendée Globe or the rest, and it's also a race where everybody has a chance to win, because we have to choose among 20 boats, and we choose this kind of boat and we go. So boats have quite similar performance, and I like this challenge. I just want to ask you a question. Is there a winner in the OGR? Is there a winner in each class, or is there an overall winner by IRC or with handicap? And what can you do with those who make a longer course, longer race?
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, to just clarify that, first of all, the Classic Challenge is a race within the ocean globe. The only trophy for the Classic Challenge boats is overall IRC and across the line. So the across the line trophy is the big red trophy, first across the line in the Classic Challenge, and then there'll be an IRC winner in the Classic Challenge. They don't mix, okay? So, and you'll see they look different, they'll be covered in sponsors and all that sort of stuff. But they start on the same start line on the same days, they'll finish in the same ports, and they'll be involved with all the same race villages, and they'll be involved with the import races we have. So that, but it is a race within a race, if you know what I mean. So the retro classes, okay, the 3 retro classes, they're all racing IRC, okay, and they're all racing to be line honours winners. So there is an overall line honours winner for all 3 divisions. There is an overall IRC winner for the entire race, okay. They're the 2 big ones, right? Then within each of the 3 classes, obviously there will be an IRC winner in each of the classes, and there'll be a line honours winner in each of the classes. Does that make sense? So it gives them a bit of fun and makes it possible that the entire fleet of the 3 retro classes are all racing for 1 IRC winner and 1 line honours winner, but then there's class races, similar to like a Sydney Hobart and so on. Yeah. So you're all welcome to ask questions now of any of us, any of the entrants you just met, or myself at all, and certainly at the end of this, because we're nearly finished, we keep it simple, you're welcome to interview anyone as well. Okay, so has anyone got any specific questions they'd like to ask?
Yeah, more of a general question, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel that too many boats dropped out for one reason or another last time round? And are there any learnings that you can take from the last race to ensure that more people, cross the finish line?
Yeah, okay, so yes, we were, I mean, no one really knew what was going to happen. I wasn't so surprised at the boats that retired sailing down to Cape Town. Okay, that's a natural transition, and it's the name of the game. I was surprised at how many masts and boats got into trouble in the Southern Ocean, but again, there was no preconceived idea. One thing I was happy about, when we selected the original type of boats, one of our philosophies was that whatever happened, we didn't want anyone getting into a life raft. I never thought we'd see the day where A, that worked, but B, we had so many boats in trouble. But at least no one got into a life raft, touch wood, because they're really incredibly strong hulls. Yes, we've learned a lot from the first edition, that's obvious. We've changed about 50 aspects of the notice of race. We're leaving 2 months later in this next edition, and we analysed all aspects, and we spoke to the entrants in depth. So we did do a complete review, and I think you will see a completely different result in 22, not just because of those things, but because it's a different group of sailors. These first ones in 2018, they really were trailblazers, and they were still feeling their way. 2022, they all know what happened. They've all seen it. A simple example in terms of pictures, a lot of the entrants didn't take a lot of photos and videos and stuff because they were too busy. The current range of entrants all want to take videos and photos, and they want to provide that. So we've made changes that's going to help you, the media. Okay, there'll be a lot more material coming off the boats. All the boats will have full digital video suites. We've got an extra film drop now. We've got Lanzarote, we've got Cape Town and Hobart. We'll have a bigger, our team running the last race was tiny. We knew the things we weren't doing, but we couldn't do anything else. We know what to do. In 22, we'll have the budget. We'll have bigger teams. We'll produce more videos. There'll be more stuff going out. We may even be having, there's new technology coming out at the end of the year. We've been briefed on what it is. It may allow us to do 1 satellite photo a week from the boats, or if there's a story on, we can ask them to send photos. So there's going to be a lot more opportunity for media. But one of the essence of the GGR was that we had so many people telling us our race was more live than all the races showing all the live videos, because we were giving the tweets all the time. People were picking up on it, and they were fascinated. It was like reading a book. You had to come back the next day to turn the page, and anything could happen, you know. So that's why we had such a strong family following us, and that's going to be more intense in 22. And in 23 for the OGR, it's going to be a bit the same. Okay, so I think that's about it. Thanks very much for coming. We appreciate your support. We've got a lot of friends here that we know gave us a great rap in the GGR previously, so thanks for that, and we look forward to feeding you. Remember, Sebastian's going to be the key contact for our joint media scenario, and if you think you've got a sponsor, talk to David, and I'm happy to talk to you anytime, and Aida will be running some of the a lot of the PR during the OGR as well, and I'm sure you'll see her around on the GGR. so thanks very much. Thanks for coming, and we're all available to talk and chat after. So and we're here for the whole show. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Very good.
Each press release that you send, check the Italian and the English.